Hey y'all, hey, and welcome back to my channel. I've been primarily uploading shorts and I haven't done a video for you guys in a long time, so I decided let me go ahead and do a quick video. So we won't be here long at all. This is extremely short. But because this is short, I'm also going to do an update at the end of this video about the teacher that was shot in front of her son in the Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru. I've mainly just been doing my shorts, just trying to build my platform, and it has. Like, since the last video that I did with you guys, I think I was around 550, and now I'm at 740 subscribers. Plus, on my TikTok, I am at 4,500. I grew pretty quickly, like, within 24 hours, 48 hours. I gained, like, 4,000 subs. I've also put in my information so I could be monetized through Meta. And also I'm trying to get some things done on TikTok, but Meta is pretty much done and taken care of. Thank you, Tiara, my spiritual advisor. She is the one who lit a fire under my ass yesterday. Also, you guys are going to probably hear a lot of background noise. I am enjoying the atmosphere. It is absolutely beautiful outside. So I have my windows and my door open, so you might hear people, kids, whatever, but just try to block it out. This story will be part of the Sleeping with the Enemy series. But before we begin, I'm giving you my fair use warning, and I'm giving you my trigger warning. This video will be triggering to most. So if you are easily triggered, please click off now. Also, you will see the domestic violence hotline on the screen and in the chat.
A deadly case of domestic violence playing out in the middle of a neighborhood.
A woman was shot and killed by her boyfriend, and then police say he set their house on fire.
On Sunday, April 17th at about 11 p.m., Sugar Land Police Department received a call about a domestic dispute. Officers quickly responded to the 4100 block of Issacks Way in the Chimneystone subdivision. 43-year-old Latonia Faulk calls Sugar Land Police Department to get her boyfriend removed from the home. 38-year-old Alton Sandles was there pushing her and being verbally abusive. When police officers arrived at the house, they saw a woman and a man running out of the home as the man was physically assaulting her. The officer then saw the man pull out a handgun and shoot the woman. Officers yelled for the man to stop, but when they yelled for him to stop, he actually shot at them and ran into the house. There were no police officers injured. The officer fired back in response, but it was unclear whether the man was actually struck or not. While the police were setting up, they found indications that the man may have fled the home. So they sent out an electronic alert to residents of the Chimneystone subdivision, warning them to stay in their homes and lock their doors and windows. But then when they realized that the house was on fire, they had to hurry up and evacuate everyone.
Nearby residents had to evacuate. Viewer video provides a feel of the neighborhood as everything was going down.
Y'all's house should be fine. Y'all just don't want to be there or what?
No, they asked us to leave.
Yeah, we saw him running around knocking on everybody's door.
While officers were surrounding the home, they saw that there was a fire inside of the house. The fire department was called out to the scene, but because the location of the shooter was still unknown, firefighters were not allowed to go inside the home.
We're getting more information on a couple who died after a domestic disturbance call. It led to a chaotic scene in a quiet Sugar Land neighborhood.
Now, shots were fired off Issacks Way at Frontier Drive around 11 last night. Chaz Miller has been in the neighborhood all day getting answers and joining us live now with the latest. Chaz?
Jonathan, yeah, you can see the house behind me. It's been cleared now for about the last 2 hours where we've been able to get this close. We've seen neighbors come in and out just taking a look at it. We've learned a few things. One thing that we've known all morning is that the female in this case, her 15-year-old son was in this house when everything started. Thankfully, he's safe and with his biological father. We've also learned from the Sugar Land Police Department that this isn't the first time they've had to respond to something involving this couple. Neighbors described this Sugar Land subdivision as quiet. So when all of this started to unfold last night around 11, it wasn't something anyone was used to.
Dog was kind of interested to get out back.
and then a barrage of gunshots went off.
Sugar Land police has confirmed the names of the couple are the suspect, Alton Sandles, and his girlfriend, Latonia Faulk. Faulk called police to say he had pushed her.
When the first responding officer arrived at the scene, he saw the assault taking progress. He also saw the suspect pull a gun and shoot the female.
Sandles and that officer then exchanged shots. Faulk was taken to the hospital where she was pronounced dead. The officer was not struck.
I mean, it was really bad, really bad.
Once Sandles shot at that officer, they thought he might have fled. Neighbors in the area were told to lock their doors. But then this fire started inside of the house, police presumed by Sandles, and nearby residents had to evacuate. Sandles was found dead inside, and it's still unknown what killed him, be it the fire, the smoke, or a gunshot from himself or the initial officer who arrived. We have learned that Sugar Land police had to respond to family violence calls, both from Faulk calling about Sandles in 2020 and 2021. She refused to file charges in both cases, though he was arrested per police in 2020. Those instances happened at a different address from the one last night, where neighbors say they never saw this coming.
I just couldn't believe how many gunshots there were. We have a neighbor that's, I think, a cop in another county. He said it sounded like 3 magazines were empty. Yeah, it was that. Well, that's what we thought they were fireworks because there were so many.
And guys, just in talking to neighbors out here all afternoon, they described the scene last night as something they obviously weren't used to seeing. We talked to the woman who lives right behind the house you see behind me. She said that that was something that was not fun to go through, as you might imagine. In terms of the family, we have talking to some, and they've been out here. They were out here this morning. They did not want to talk on camera, but they said both of them were good people and that they couldn't believe this was happening and that they're still trying to process it. Live in Sugar Land, I'm Chaz Miller, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
It had to be his people saying some mess like that because both of them were good people. No, if that was the case, this wouldn't have happened.
Now, before last night's shooting at Fire, Sugar Land PD did have a history with the couple. Officials tell us they responded to 2 different domestic violence calls dating back to 2020. One case that year resulted in Sandles' arrest. Then another arrest in 2021. Those cases took place at a different Sugar Land residence.
An abuser is controlling but also charming. They're jealous and manipulative, and they're very inconsistent. They're demanding, they like to victim blame, and often make threats. They also tend to isolate and attack your self-esteem so they can have complete and total control. Domestic violence tends to start out subtle, usually beginning with destruction of property or verbal abuse and mental abuse. And it almost always escalates into something like this. If you or a family member are in this situation, please get out now. This man didn't come as a false prophet, but he did come as a wolf in sheep's clothing. Now, switching to the other story, there has been an update in the Rachel King case. King was 35 at the time of her death, was driving her son to violin practice on April 11th when she stopped at the Dunkin' drive-thru and was executed. Most of the time in these situations, it's always someone you know. She was a beloved teacher and an upstanding citizen in our community. So who would have wanted her dead?
News Philadelphia, and today a local DA was at a loss for words.
I've seen a lot of horrible and even horrific homicides, evil homicides, in my nearly 30 years of doing this as a prosecutor. And suffice it to say, I'm struggling with this one.
Rachel King, a beloved teacher and mother, shot to death in front of her son in a Dunkin' drive-thru. Authorities say the shooter was a hitman hired by a romantic rival.
This is your News at 5, and we continue to stream live on CBSPhiladelphia.com. Good evening, everyone. I'm Yuki Washington.
I'm Jessica Cartalia. It has been nearly 2 weeks to the day that Rachel King was killed.
Her murder shocked the students she taught and the community where she lived. The Montgomery County DA announced today he is personally prosecuting this case.
Nikki Dementri was there as the DA announced 2 people are now facing charges, and her parents vowed that they will be there every step of this case.
It was a cold-blooded killing, a targeted murder of an innocent person.
Montgomery County prosecutors say 34-year-old Julie Jean and 33-year-old Zaki Stephen Alakim are behind the shooting death of Rachel King. The 35-year-old mother and teacher was killed at a Cheltenham Dunkin' on April 11th while sitting in the front seat of her car, her son in the back seat.
We got a road to justice ahead of us, and he's a part of it, and that's going to be difficult.
King's parents spoke briefly at a Wednesday press conference in Norristown, thanking prosecutors, detectives, and the community for their persistence and support.
Our hearts are hurting, but we also believe this: in time, they will be healed, and we will move forward with our grandson, Jalen.
Montgomery County District Attorney Kevin Steele says Jean and Alakim didn't know King. At one point, Steele says Jean had an affair with King's boyfriend and began harassing the two after King's boyfriend ended it. Alakim, prosecutors say, is related to the father of Jean's children.
We want justice done. We want it done swiftly. We want it done accurately. And we want it done fairly.
Prosecutors say evidence, including this map showing King's home saved to Alakim's phone, is part of the planning by the two since February. Another piece includes the silver Mercury Sable seen leaving the Duncan. Steele says was purchased by the two and in Jean's name. That car was also seen at another murder scene in Philadelphia 4 days before King's death. Alakim is facing murder charges in both cases.
As a family of believers in Christ Jesus, we believe that vengeance does belong to God.
Steele adds the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network machine matched casings recovered at both the Philadelphia and Cheltenham scenes to the same weapon. Although not recovered, Steele says the ghost gun matches this photo found on Alakim's phone.
I've seen a lot of horrible and even horrific homicides, evil homicides, in my nearly 30 years of doing this as a prosecutor, and suffice it to say, I'm struggling with this one.
Both Jean and Alakim are behind bars. Jean is here in Montgomery County, where she was arraigned. Alakim is being held in Philadelphia. His arraignment is Thursday. In Norristown, Nikki Demetri, CBS News, Philadelphia.
When they show you who they really are, believe it. We are truly living in some evil times. The demon time energy is running rampant within the spiritual realm. So be mindful of your situations and your surroundings and stay prayed up. We've reached the end of the video. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe. If you are not subscribed, hit that notification bell, set it to all so you'll be notified anytime I go live or premiere. Please be kind to one another and have a good night.
Hey, it's me, Unapologetic Quenica. Unapologetic Quenica. Binge for tune enjoy true crime stories on real life issues and more. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe. Hey, it's me, Unapologetic Quenica. Unapologetic Quenica. Binge for tune enjoy true crime stories on real life issues and more. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe. Hey, it's me, Unapologetic Quenica. Unapologetic Quenica. Hey, it's me, Unapologetic Quenica. Unapologetic Quenica. Hey, it's me, Unapologetic Quenica. Unapologetic Quenica. Hey, it's me, Unapologetic Quenica. Hey, it's me, Unapologetic Quenica. Unapologetic Quenica. Binge for tune enjoy true crime stories on real life issues and more. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe. Hey, it's me, Unapologetic Quenica. Unapologetic Quenica. Binge for tune enjoy true crime stories on real life issues and more. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe.